Alright, so this week we are going to build on what we did last week. Last week we worked on converting mixed numbers to improper fractions and improper fractions to mixed number. And this week what we're going to do is do some addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division with mixed numbers. Now for addition and subtraction, there's a couple ways to do it, but the way I'm going to suggest that you go and do the problem is just to convert them to improper fractions first. If you know other ways and you're comfortable doing that, then that's great. Please, by all means, do it that way. But this is how I'm going to teach it. And to me, this is a little easier because if you don't convert it, you run into issues where you may have to borrow or regroup, and it gets a little tricky. So just to remind you, here is a mixed number, right? And I'm going to convert it to an improper fraction, and you do that by multiplying 5 times 6 and then adding the 3, and that all goes over the 5, same denominator. 5 times 6 is 30, plus 3 is 33 over 5. So that is our improper fraction from our mixed number 6 3/5. Okay, so here's the first one. We got 5 2/3 plus 1 1/4. So again, let's make these improper fractions first. 3 times 5 is 15, plus 2 is 17 over 3, plus 4 times 1 is 4, plus 1 is 5 over 4. Okay, so 17 thirds plus 5 fourths. So remember, when we're adding, we need a common denominator. And our common denominator here for 3 and 4 is 12. So I need to multiply this side by 3 over 3 and this side by 4 over 4. Okay, so when we do that, we get 4 times 17 is 68 over 12, plus 5 times 3 is 15 over 12, and 68 plus 15 is 83 over 12. Okay, and I'm going to leave the answer like this. If you want to make it back into a mixed number, you're welcome to, but I'm going to leave it like this. But what I do want you to do is check to make sure that it's reduced, and it is. There's no number besides 1 that divides into 83 and 12. Okay, here is, let me see if I can get a little better. The next one, 8 4/5 plus 3 1/2. Well, 5 times 8 is 40, plus 4 is 44/5, plus 3 1/2. 3 times 2, 6, plus 1 is 7 over 2. Okay, so let's see. 5 and 2, common denominator is 10, so we're just going to times here by 2 over 2 and here by 5 over 5. Okay, so that gives us 2 times 44 is 88 over 5, plus 7 times 5 is 35. Oops, I'm sorry, I messed up there a little bit. 2 times 5 is 10. The denominator is a 10 now. Hope that's okay. That's a 10. Sorry about that. 7 times 5 is 35 over 10. Okay, now we got to add these up. Let's see if I can do these without making a mistake again here. So 88 plus 35 is going to be 123, I believe, over 10. Let me just make sure. Let's see, 30 plus 88 is 118 and 5 more. Yeah, it makes 123. So it is 123 over 10. Okay, so again, make them into improper fractions, get a common denominator, see if you can reduce it at the end, and again, here you can. So I hope that's okay for addition. Okay, now let's look at some subtraction problems. Then we'll do multiplication and division. Again, subtraction is just like adding. We're going to just, get our common denominator and, go to improper fractions, get our common denominator and subtract. So here, 9 1/2. 2 times 9, 18, plus 1 is 19 over 2, minus 4 times 3 is 12, plus 1 is 13 over 3. Okay, I think you'll see there our common denominator for 2 and 3 is, let me zoom in a tiny bit, is 6. So here I'll multiply by 3 over 3, and here I'll multiply by 2 over 2. 3 times 19 is, oh boy, that is 3 times 9, 27. Bring the 2 up there. 3 times 1 is 57 over 6 minus 26 over 6. And 57 take away 26 is 31 over 6. All right. So again, with these, we're just doing our improper fractions. It does make the numbers a little bigger, and sometimes you have to be careful and make sure you multiply correctly, but that's just how it works. If you need to do, your multiplication on the side or on a sheet of scratch paper, I think that's a great idea. Okay, now here, 5 times 6 is 30, plus 1 is 31 over 5, minus 7 times 4 is 28, plus 3, 31, over 7. That's kind of a weird coincidence. They're both 31. Okay, so common denominator for 5 and 7, well, that's going to be 35. So here we got it times by 7 over 7, and here by 5 over 5. So like I said a second ago, if you need to work on it over on the side or on a piece of scratch paper, that's a good idea. I'm going to do that here because I'm feeling like I'm going to make a mistake. So 31 times 7, let's see, 7 times 1 is 7, 7 times 3 is 21. Okay, so this guy is 217 over 35 minus, now 31 times 5, I think I can manage that one in my head. So that would be 155 over 35. Okay, now I've reached the limit of what I can do in my brain. I need to do this subtraction over here. Let's see, so 217 minus 155. 7 minus 5 is 2. Let's see, I need to make that a 1, that an 11. 11 take away 5 is 6. So we get 62. All right, 62 over 35. And there you go. All right, again, I don't expect you to do these all in your head. Use some scratch paper, work over on the side, do what you need to do to figure them out. So I hope these are okay. There's addition and subtraction. So one more time. Improper fractions, common denominator, add or subtract, try to reduce it at the end, and all the problems I've done so far haven't been able to be reduced at the end. Okay, now we're going to be on to the last two, that is multiplication, and division. Okay, so 5½ times 3¼ I'm going to do the same thing. I am going to make improper fractions. 2 times 5 plus 1 is 11 over 2 times 4 times 3 plus 1, 13 over 4. Okay, I get 11 times 13 all over 2 times 4. Remember, we multiply straight across. So there's no way I can also cancel here. So I'm just going to go ahead and multiply. And the nice thing, if you can't cancel, you can't reduce it at the end. So you're going to be all done. 2 times 4 is 8. And let's do the 11 times 13 over here. 13 times 11. 1 times 3 is 3. 1 times 1 is 1. 0 here. 3 again, a 1. Add them up. 3, 4, 1. So that is 143 over 8. Okay? Think you can handle multiplication. It's a lot easier, in my opinion, than doing addition and subtraction. Just go to improper fractions, multiply straight across, maybe cancel if you can first. Or if you don't see the canceling in the beginning, it's fine. Just check to see if you can reduce it in the end. And here we can't reduce anything again. So we're left at 143 over 8. Most of the problems on your assignment you won't be able to reduce at the end, but you still need to check. Okay, here's the last one. I got 6 2/3. Let me see. Oops, sorry. Get a better picture there. Divided by 1 1/4. Now remember, when we divide, we change it to multiplication by the reciprocal. So it's a lot like multiplication, but we do need to change it a tiny bit first. So here, let's go to improper fractions. 3 times 6, 18. Plus 2 is 20 over 3 divided by 4 times 1 is 4 plus 1, 5 over 4. Okay, now we're going to change it to multiplying by the reciprocal. Remember, the first fraction does not change. It stays absolutely the same. Division becomes multiplication, and this guy flips over, 4 over 5. Okay, if you look at that for a minute there, we got 20/3 times 4/5. So you may notice now that I can actually do a little bit of canceling because 5 goes into 24 times. So 5 goes into 5 once and into 24 times. Again, I much prefer canceling now than trying to reduce it at the end, especially with problems like this because the numbers start to get big and then they get a little bit tricky. So 4 times 4 is 16 over 3 times 1, which is 3, and we're done, 16/3. All right, as I always say, Please, please, please contact me if you have any questions whatsoever. And thank you, and I hope you have a good week.